Hello and welcome back to another episode of Chemistry with Harvey. Today we're looking at graphs and indicators. Sorry if this one seems a bit scruffier than the last. It was a very short notice homework this time. There are four main graphs you need to know: strong acid and strong base, strong acid and weak acid, strong base, and weak base, weak acid. And they're all quite simple. Strong acid, strong base, we should know this one. It's a fairly common one. Just kind of like a little S shape, with where it neutralizes. This is called the equivalence point because, the amount of base and acid is equivalent. Also, you have the pKa at half the neutralization point. Then for strong acid, weak base, there's a bit of a buffer at the top, but nothing else to mention really about that graph. Weak acid, strong base, buffer at the bottom, and also at the pKa, which is the same way of finding it as a strong base graph. That is when your buffer solution is at its optimum, because it can buffer the most either side. And weak acid, weak base is a really boring graph. It's basically just a compressed version of the strong acid, strong base graph. Okay, indicators. Universal indicator, we all know. We don't really need to know that one so much at A-level, but we need to know what it's made up of. And obviously there's lots of different colours, so there's lots of different things that it consists of. We have phenolphthalein, which is a purple indicator. It works between pH 9 and pH 11. Bromothymol blue. This is a bit misleading. It's actually green. It goes from yellow to green anyway. Methyl red next. I couldn't work out if methyl red and methyl orange were actually the same indicator, just using different parts of the spectrum for it. But methyl red is thankfully red, and it works between 5 and 7. Bromophenol blue. This is actually a sort of yellowish green. It goes from yellow to blue, which makes it a sort of yellowy green colour. It works between 4 and 6, which is the same range as our next one, final one. Methyl orange, which has a range of 4 to 6 and is orange again. So be careful with the colours of these because the blue ones specifically are a bit misleading. You'll also need to know whereabouts these indicators are used. So obviously if you're doing a titration, you're going to need to use the correct indicator for your titration. Phenolphthalein won't work for a weak acid, weak base titration because it will be off the scale. Although it will work for a strong acid, strong base. So you've got to pick your indicator based off the type of titration you're doing. Okay, that's the end of this video. A nice short one today. As usual, I'll leave the poster in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions, leave them in the comments or put your hand up in class now.